Today I'm joined, obviously you can see him, but I might as well introduce him. He's an old friend of mine. I mean, we've known each other for years, over a decade now. But outside of our friendship, he is an entrepreneur. He is a filmmaker. He's a director. He puts out fires half the day when he's doing his producing as well. And he's been traveling the continent for the last 5+ years, just producing amazing content. His name is Makere Cross Thekiso. Welcome, fam.
What up, how are you?
I don't know what this is, but I felt like I was like, in case you leave me hanging, I'll give myself a jack.
It's one of those videos that could go viral. You know, it's like KG dabbing himself. You know, like it becomes a meme.
When they leave you hanging.
Like when they leave you hanging, you save yourself.
Let's talk about your work, Doc. Just for anybody who hasn't seen what you do or doesn't know necessarily what you do, just give us a quick background over the last 5 to 7 years of your work.
In terms of the work, for the last 7-8 years, we've probably produced close to 100 projects or episodes for DSTV. This ranges from short format, whether it's like channel idents, graphic channel strategies, TV shows, mini documentary, docu-series, and some of the shows I think that were quite successful was the hip-hop show called The Hustle. We also did Strip Down.
Yeah, that's you guys, yeah.
Yeah, we also did Strip Down, we did Creative Union, we shot Corner, the music video, which is like one of our biggest projects because it, in terms of the numbers and winning lots of awards, and just came back from Ghana right now shooting a short film and just did a screening for another short film called Simple Love. So literally that's what we are pushing at the moment.
Okay, so let's take it back to the very beginning.
Yes.
Obviously you worked in TV before. I mean, I know that you shot a lot of content for the likes of ETV as well when you were still sort of before you went out on your own, right?
Yes. Yeah.
But when you went out on your own, Connor, like you said, for my Thekiso, massive music video.
Yeah.
What do you think was the biggest difference? Like you guys went in there and literally from there, videos were completely different. Like if you look at people's videos and how they shot and how they styled today, that was like a landmark period. Why? What went into that process?
Funny enough, it was so crazy. Like especially now with the buzz with Black Panther, one of the interviews was like they didn't anticipate.
Pambi! Continue.
Who is your attire?
Well, I'm not. Continue.
So,
this is madness.
So, like one of the things the director said, they didn't set out to do exactly what's happening.
Yeah.
And which is like you kind of do it, and you've got great intentions. Like that's how we're gonna infuse Africanism and stuff. But how the audience receives it, you never have control.
Sure.
And that's what happened with us with Corner. Is that all you had was like, oh, cool. It's a big song right now, you know, it needs to have a great video, but at the same time, obviously it has to line with the artist that you're shooting for.
Yeah.
Then you're like, their style has always been very Afro-centric, very driven, Pan-African, but they kind of switch from, you know, like vintage, from Duka Af.
You know what I'm thinking as you're saying?
Yeah.
It was also driven by the waist.
Yeah, the waist. Yeah, his waist was the best.
Anyway, sorry, yeah, continue.
So I mean, like they've always had like a look with every album that they released, but now the look that they had was very Pan-African, very 70s.
Yeah.
And at that moment, you're like, how do we infuse all of that? So from a styling perspective, you kind of went for that look, not knowing that how big the video is gonna get and where it's gonna transcend. Because then the video became bigger than us. I know it was big in South Africa, but we really got to understand it when we left the country. Because literally you'd be sitting there with guys who are like millionaires, like guys who own like islands.
Yeah.
And
you see the guys who own islands? I don't hang out more with you, dog. That's my
so then you're there and they're talking about my figures. Like, yeah, I shot that video and stuff. They're like, oh, do you know Cleo and Tlantla? These are guys who own radio stations. They're like
big guys,
like, guys who are on Forbes. Then obviously like to show off, you're like, yeah, I know him. Then you kind of, you know, go on your phone.
Press play.
You call Theo and Tlantla, you know, and you hope one of them answers because then your cool factor is just gonna go up. Then luckily, like I remember one time Theo answered, he's like, oh, with so and so, Joe Kusaga was in Tanzania, on his island. Then he's like, yo, Theo, we're speaking to Cleo. Like, oh, this is the guy. His name is so. He's like, yo, we're gonna bring you guys to Tanzania for one of our festivals. You organized one of the biggest festivals. But he was so excited.
Just like that.
He was so excited to talk to them just off the, you know, like the video and everything, like how far it traveled. I mean, like would have like lunch with the other time was the deputy president of Kenya.
Yeah.
Went to his house and just off the video, you know, and would have meetings with ambassadors and all those. I remember even you one time you sent me an article where they were doing a study on the video for some government stuff.
I couldn't believe that. I started using you guys as a case study in my keynotes. I would be speaking for like CSI, and I'd be telling them about how you guys are doing big things and like
Yeah.
you know how that video and what you
Yeah.
guys did with it
Yeah.
affected the continent. But like anyway, yeah.
And one time I remember our lawyer even sent us like, you know that part where it's like intercut where the guy he's at a party and people are dancing like that. So he sends me the video. I'm laughing. Then one of my neighbors, I lived in a townhouse in Midrand. Yes, I did have furniture. And
If you don't understand, go to any other apartment or townhouse in Midrand.
That's my disclaimer. I mean, Connor was popping, so it allowed me to buy furniture.
Beanbags are selling out in Midrand. It's a thing. But anyway, yeah.
So, like, I remember my neighbor playing that song the whole night. And I don't know how to be. I'm happy that he's playing the song or the video, whatever it is. But I'm like, yo, dog, I want to go to sleep. But at the same time, I don't want him to stop.
Yeah, because you've got that emotional connection with it.
Yeah, it's like, stop it, I like it.
Okay, all right. So Connor blows up, becomes this massive song, right?
Yeah.
What does that mean for you as the guys who shot it? Because obviously for Makere Cross, it puts them on like the platform. It puts them on. It puts on the continental platform.
Yeah.
Because they were big in South Africa, but I think
Yeah.
they only started to become massive in the continent after that.
Yeah, I mean, like when we were shooting the video, the pressure was that because the song was also so big.
Yeah.
Because I think it took them 6 months to shoot a video because apparently they tried with 5 or 4 other people. It didn't really work out. I don't know
That's
what.
name drop. Who are they? No, I'm kidding.
I did ask, but they didn't say.
Okay.
And so the song was so massive at that point. So you're in a situation where you're like, don't drop the ball. Like whatever you do, don't, because the song is so big, you can't drop the, because everybody's anticipating this video, you know. And so that was the pressure. And I think what it did, the video gave it more leg. And I remember even I was talking to a good friend of mine who directed A Spirit for Questa, you know. And I was telling him, because they were pushing to release it in December. And I remember I was talking to him, I was like, it wouldn't be a bad idea to even drop it in Jan.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, what that able to do, it gives the song more life.
It extends the life of the song.
It extends the lifespan, because then in December I'm like, the song's already big, so it doesn't necessarily need a video.
Yeah.
So, but if you drop the visuals a bit later,
Yeah.
which is what we did with Manifest Simple Love right now, is that the album was released a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
And the song was playing on radio a year ago. But now releasing the video now with new visuals and new version of it.
Just revitalizes the song.
Revitalized the song, but it's also risky.
In what way?
It's also, I think, the type of songs that you're releasing.
Okay.
And because there's certain songs that fall within a space, like if it's trap and it falls within, like right now, like trap is cool.
Yeah.
You don't know what's going to happen to trap a year from now.
Oh, so you don't want to be putting it out after.
Yes,
the
but if
trend
it's
is down.
timeless sound, I think you can drop it at any time.
Okay, let's talk about timeless sound actually.
Yeah.
Right. So you talk about trap. I know we're moving away from the music video conversation, but like, you look at the South African music industry and the almost evolution that it's gone through.
Yeah.
Right. We can take it back to Kwaito.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not the beginning of South African music. We all know that.
Yeah.
But we can take it back to Kwaito, and between Kwaito and the TKZs, and let's say an MT and what's happening now, there's been so many changes, good or bad for the industry.
I think they've been amazing. As a hip hop fan, I don't like hip hop right now. I'll be very honest.
Okay.
And I like hip hop has kind of raised me, but I almost feel like there's a need for diverse sounds. Hip hop has always had that.
Yeah.
There's a reason for trap. There's reason for conscious. There's reason for pop. Hip hop has always been able to infuse itself into so many different genres and sounds.
Very true.
And in the last couple of years, I felt like it became one sound, you know, and it was not as diverse because
everybody got onto the trap sound.
Everybody got onto the trap sound, which kind of made it very monotonous.
Yeah.
And that's not hip hop. Hip hop could be soul. It could be on a soul beat. Hip hop could be on a blues beat. Hip hop could be on a batanga. It could be a gqom beat. It could be a house beat. It could be anything. And it allows you that space to actually, like, to have that kind of a creative space. And sometimes I think when people follow trends, it becomes an issue. It's rebellious music. We suppose it's voice of the people. I know people like underground. They prefer to listen to underground. But I love music, you know. And just as a whole, like, I would move from listening to techno to go and listen to Beethoven, to go and listen to Tracy Chapman, listen to Britney Spears, because music is music.
It's an emotional experience.
It's an emotional experience, and I think the older you get, you even separate yourself from genre loving to loving a sound. And also, if you travel a lot, you have to open yourself to a new sound and say, yo, what sound is that? Then they can experience, like, yo, that's Afro life. It's not even Afro beat. What's the difference between Afro beat and Afro beat? You know, it's like Fela is Afrobeat, this one is Afrobeat. So it's just, I think, being open to so many different sounds. And hip hop, I think it got to a place where I couldn't listen to it anymore because almost felt I was listening to the same song.
Same sound. I know. I mean, we've driven around together quite a bit, and you play a lot of sort of West African music in your car and stuff. I'm assuming that comes from all the traveling.
Yeah.
Let's talk about music when you travel.
Yeah.
Like, where's your favorite music home, if that's even a question? You know what I mean?
Like I'll tell you first experience, because I think at first, like Godfather, the guy has literally brought all the Nigerian movies in South Africa. The whole thing, that Africa Magic. He was one of our business guys, and all the guys shooting their music videos, he's the one who started that whole thing. So he was our business partner at that time. So we met a lot of the guys when they were still on the come up. So you're talking P Square, you're talking Tibanj, you're talking Olamide, you're talking Wizkid on the come up, Davido, you're talking
literally all of them.
Noah Baby before it blowed up. Like a lot of these guys kind of saw them from there. So that was, and that time he used to bring CDs into the country. So I used to get most of the sounds from him. Yeah. But I remember the album that really got me was MI. He had just released MI2, you know, and so I went to pick him up at the hotel. And I was driving a Tez at that time, didn't want to get into my Tez because I didn't want to be seen in a Tez. It was actually quite funny.
You're like, do you know who I am?
Yeah, but he was in a very polite kind of manner. And his manager we kind of rode together. And so when he got to the thing, he was like, yo, this is my album. But then he didn't have the CD, so I went into his laptop, put my USB. He was like, you only have the exclusive one that nobody has, because apparently all the songs couldn't fit onto the album.
Oh, okay.
He couldn't print all of it because there were so many songs.
That's crazy.
So I got the one that was never released. So then he started showing me videos. He was performing in Dubai, and he's telling me, he's like, yo, all I need, that was before Ice Prince, because he had Ice Prince, he had Brymo, he had all these guys. So that's when he was like, yo, I've got a group of guys, I want to retire very soon and run Chocolate City. Didn't make sense to me then. It started making sense when he pulled back and he went in. So that was the environment I was in. Like, you know, Easy, like for instance, being shot in SA with Real Money on set, and just that whole culture. Proverb making a cameo and we were managing him. Then there was an instance when I went to Kenya. I was out of the country for the first time. Went to this club. So I was there with Godfather, you know, like, because we were traveling together at that time. And I was very young.
I feel like at this point you guys need to understand, Godfather is called Godfather for a reason. It's like one of those names that you give to a person not in Genji. He's a character. He's a character. Like Makere is saying, this guy is putting the work, obviously. Yeah. But he's a character. Just so you understand.
Like he's crazy. Yeah. Like his Godfather he's
Godfather.
Yeah. Like we were working at an airport, he's holding like $500,000 in the bag. And I'm like, what's going on?
Duffel bag, man.
Duffel bag. And now I'm nervous because I'm like, freak, we still have to go through custom. But then obviously I would walk where? Like far away from him. I'm like, hey, you're on your own, dog. Like I didn't sign up for that. And that was Godfather. Like, it was crazy. Yeah, I'll tell you another Godfather story. Let me answer your question. Sure. So then I was in, freaking nuts. Like, so I've lived, guys. And so then I was in Kenya. It was the first time I was outside of the country. So we're at this club. They're playing their local sounds. I think it was Radio and Weasel. Like just a band, a lot of the sounds, guys that I hadn't heard of was before Shazam, out of Shazam, most of it, you know. And so I remember in the middle of the set, it filled up the set. I mean, like on the dance floor, the whole dance floor is packed. Then afterwards, they drop a Michael Jackson song. The dance floor clears. Nobody's.
That's unbelievable.
And it was a mind fuck for me because I was like, that's literally the biggest artist ever. These guys are not even dancing to Michael Jackson. They just want to hear their own stuff. Then they dropped, you know, Easy by P Square. And that time, Godfather was like one of the producers who done the video. We lost our mind in the club. So we're like, so the thing is like, once you start seeing people, how they receive their own music and when they're dancing, and obviously you start searching like, who's this, who's that? And we're working heavily with Channel O Africa. Sure. With Joby and Tempo, helping them set up the channel and do the whole channel strategy and everything, getting into the continent, buying equipment for them for their different offices and
around the continent,
around the continent, you know. So then obviously because you also doing consulting for Pan-African channel, you have to infuse and immerse yourself in the culture.
Sure.
You know, so then I started getting heavy into the music from, you know, like MI to NATO C to Tibanj to, you know, like your P Square. I'm the Banj, the Coco Master. You know? And at that time also we're bringing the artists for the Channel O Awards. So all the artists that were coming in from West Africa and East Africa, we had to sort out their visas for them to come into the country and all those things. So it was like just handling all those different tech riders and also understanding their music. That's why even today we've got such strong relationship with them because we still chat with like Davido's manager, still good friends with Wizkid's manager. like a lot of the guys that's where we became friends, because obviously you're bringing them in, you have to pick them up at the airport, sort them out their food, they in a different country.
You get to meet as human beings, you know?
You meet all these human beings before they become like all these big global superstars. And it said that Channel O was actually no longer like there, because they were so important for the culture, especially with what's happening now. So that's how I got into the music and just immersing myself into the culture. And obviously you start finding more albums, you start, you know, understanding their clothes, and you start understanding their photography, how they tell their own stories. Because I always believe, like, not for you to bastardize anything, you need to get in there, you know, like fully understanding it, because as a visual storyteller you could get so many new answers by understanding people's cultures. Yeah.
You know, as you're talking, I'm thinking to myself, the South African music scene itself. So obviously, we're talking about the whole continent, and essentially we're talking about the whole world, right?
Yeah.
I can't help but agree with what you're saying when you're saying that it almost became narrow.
Yeah.
And what I'm wondering is, so I look at the likes of Java now.
Yes.
For me, Java, that's an exciting sound. This idea of being proudly African, but obviously kind of tapping into global trends.
Yes.
That's an exciting thing.
Yeah.
If you're going to release an artist now, like let's just say you had your crazy moment to decide you're going to manage an artist.
I would never.
I know you hate it.
It's like, never. It's like, I would never. We used to have a management company, and
you're like, nope, not about that life.
Managing artists is like glorified babysitting.
That wasn't me, that was him. I'm just saying, I'm putting it out there.
But what we do instead of that, I advise artists.
Sure.
So in a sense that I'll consult for free. As in, I'll help you out with, as in my phone will be free. You can call me at any time and I can give you advice. I'm like, cool, I don't think that's a good way. I think, or even sometimes link up people and say, yo, I know this person from Ghana, I think you guys should link up. Then whatever happens from there.
You are not responsible. Leave it between us.
Whoever doesn't pitch to the studio.
You're not taking 2 a.m. calls to ask, does he know he's going to flight at 5 in the morning? But if you were to, let's just hypothesize, right?
Even that is giving me nightmares.
You take an artist and you put them out right now. What advice would you give them?
I think be yourself and embrace where you come from. Because I even feel, you know, like even after watching Black Panther, Black Panther, I feel like it's great. It's such an important movie. But the world, how much we know our culture and everything, there's so much depth to it. You know, as Ndebele, there's subcultures within Ndebele, and within that, you know, Sotho, unexplored. So there's so many unexplored cultures. So I think our duty is, don't even do it on a surface level. Go deeper.
You know what's crazy? Secretly, and I know that there's the Black Panther hype right now, and nobody wants to be that guy calling out, you know, that thing, something whilst it's hot. But
you don't want to be that
a part of me is afraid that Black Panther might achieve the opposite, where it might, due to our cultures and the diversity of the African cultures, what has happened, almost make it costumey, make it theatrical. Right? Like, I love the fact that Reboni Dibeshu, I love the fact that Reboni Seshweshwe on screen, on a film like that. But that kind of, it has the potential of making it like costume. Do you get what I mean? And you're saying there must be depth. There are rich stories to tell. Just go to Lesotho, stand on a mountain, chill there for 2-3 weeks, and then come back and tell me a story. You know what I mean? Like,
I think for me it even started before Black Panther. If you look at Heritage Day. It's very costumey.
Isn't it the Pride Day? Which one is Pride Day?
For me, I've always, I mean, there's time where, because, you know, like I wear a lot of, I've been wearing them for, like, I don't know for how long. And most of the time when I bump into people, because when you go to Nigeria, they wear their own clothes. So I've kind of like, it's influenced a lot of what I wear and things like that. Because you start picking up a lot of things and you realize how proud people are where they come from. And what would happen is that sometimes I'll wear something that's, inverted commas, that's African, and somebody's like, oh, is it Africa Day today?
Wow.
So you hear...
It's actually crazy, right?
So that's why it was, even for me, it was even before Black Panther, was more things like Heritage Day, where our clothes became very costumey, like we're going to a costume party, you know, but at the same time, on a positive side, with the Black Panther thing, one thing I really love about it is the fact that it's made it cool, you know, and it's just a matter of like us owning it now, you know. There's and kids, a lot of kids, you know, the ones that we call about Bram Laws and all that stuff, the kids in Bramfontein, Mabone, they really are embracing that culture. Even things that we used to do in the 90s, you know, as recent as now, they're making it so cool and really owning it, you know. And I think those are the kids that you can give so much props to. I mean, there's a friend of mine, she's a director, Wanuri. She's a director, she did a sci-fi in Kenya in 2009, you know, and that was literally way ahead of like what's happening now.
Sure.
It's called Pumzi. You guys must actually go online, and it's 20 minutes long.
Yeah.
It's African sci-fi shot in Cape Town by female Kenyan black director. You know,
that's like breaking so many stereotypes in one.
In 2009, so that was 10 years. That was 9 years before now.
Black Panther without the Black Panther budget.
Yeah, without the Black Panther budget. And you also look at somebody like Osborne Machari,
yeah.
you know, who's an amazing photographer. I'm glad he's getting a lot of props now. Then there's guys like Just a Band, who've been doing that stuff in East Africa.
For the longest time.
For the longest time, you know. And I think for me, like with this new wave, it's not forgetting the pioneers on the ground, because they've been foot soldiers, guys who actually were the outcast, you know, the nerds, the guys who fought for this movement way before it even happened, you know,
before it was even a movement.
Before it was even a movement, whether it's that kid in Braamfontein, you know, it's that kid in Mabone, it's that kid in Kenya, that kid in Accra, you know, like that movement has been happening for such a long time. And I mean, like one of the websites I used to really enjoy was called African Digital Art. You know, it's no longer there, and it actually breaks my heart. It was literally a website where they had like films, animation, photography, styling, skateboarding, almost every single country on the continent. So they used to curate. So I would literally just go in there and like, what are they doing in Ethiopia?
That is so cool.
And you'd see everything.
That's such a pity that something like that would go though. As a platform.
Yeah, especially right now.
Yeah.
I think that's what breaks my heart. It's like there's a lot of new stuff that's happening now. And the beauty of it is like that third industrial revolution that you and I were talking about this weekend.
And I want to get into that just now.
Which is exactly what's happening here.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like but basically. Yeah.
We'll go back to that. Okay, cool. Just to remind you, this podcast is brought to you, live from Signature Lux Hotel in Sandton, and it's also brought to you by them. So we thank them very much for supporting. And yeah, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the business of the arts. So I don't want to say the business of film, the business of the arts, business generally, money. We're going to talk about all kinds of things, man. Yeah. This third industrial revolution that's happening. Are you a part of it? You know, how do you become a part of it?
This is it.
This is it. If you saw what's happening, and we'll actually show you a sneak preview of behind the scenes and like how we're getting this done. But yo, man, we gotta do it. Okay, cool. We're gonna take a break. We'll be back for more questions.
Take a video for me.
Okay, cool. So we're back. Questions with myself, Katlego from Mabusela.
Proudly brought to you by
Signature Lux Hotel in Sandton City. Well, yeah, in Sandton, next to Mandela Square. Next time you're traveling into Sandton, make sure to make your booking. You can find them online, and we'll just put a banner at the bottom here so you can find them. But again, much thanks to them. They understand what's happening. Their business for the future, not for today. Cool. Maybe actually let's start there. Yeah. Even though I know it's kind of what I wanted to finish the conversation with.
Yeah.
Right now, being in Africa, being African, being digital, all those things. That's like finding the melting pot. You know what do they call? They always say there's a pot of gold at the end of a rainbow with a little unicorn.
Yeah.
That's like a unicorn to find right now.
Yeah.
Talk to me about this idea of the third revolution. What's it called? Industrial revolution that's happening. In your world, what is that?
Funny enough, that was it's a documentary that we're watching on Vice.
Yeah.
That speaks about that. Then yesterday I was having a conversation with one of my mentors, and he was saying it's probably a fourth industrial revolution. He was talking about like early 19, you know, like when Wright Brothers, aviation, that era.
Yeah.
Then getting into microwave, TV, radio, another revolution. Then the 90s, it happens. That was the internet boom. And
so he's saying we're on the fourth one already.
He's saying we're on the fourth one.
Cool. And what is the fourth one?
The fourth one, I think, is what's currently happening.
Okay, so if you say what's currently happening specifically, like I'm trying to get an idea of like what distinguishes.
I think what's currently happening, it's cutting off of the middleman. It's giving power back to the people.
Sure.
And in that sense, I mean, a lot of industries are being disrupted. You know, whether it's taxis with Ubers, you know, now with banks and cryptocurrencies and
hotels with Airbnb.
Yeah, hotels and Airbnb.
This is brought to you by.
So it's a lot of industries, I think, that are being disrupted.
Yeah.
Media, like what's happening now, it's a podcast.
Sure.
I don't have to listen to radio live. But now you can literally download this podcast whatever time you have and just play it in your car, send it to whoever you want to send it to. And now you don't need those big studios. All you need is a mic. I mean, the other time you were showing me, like, literally you can record this whole show on your phone.
On the phone?
And upload it. And also the difference now, you can get the data, as in who's watching it, where they're watching it. You look at marketing, like on social media. Like, you can literally have 200 rands and reach around 20,000 people.
The craziest thing about that, and I always say this, me coming from traditional media, like coming from a radio background, I remember when they used to have these annual reports, and every radio presenter was like basically shitting themselves. Yeah. Right? Because, yes, you can say shitting because we own the platform. shit. But the reason being that like those numbers were supposed to be like, okay, this is how well you're doing. Right? Long story cut short is that there was no way of proving those numbers. They would take a sample size of like 20,000 in a whole country, 56,000 people, 56 million rather people. And that's supposed to tell you who's consuming the data. With digital, you can track it down to where they were when they listened to that thing, how long they listened for. Where they went to after they saw it. So did they click through to go to Google? Did they go through to porn? Did they go through to go buy something? And that is unbelievable. And it all happens on listening. And this is not just from a consuming point of view, right? It's from a creating and sharing point of view. Like you've seen some of my content that I've been putting out recently. And 99% of it happened yet? We didn't have this setup.
You can design a flyer there, you can advertise, market, you can like send your emails, watch your TV, download apps. You know, I mean, even something as big as like your WeChat. And I think WeChat is actually, it's way ahead of like WhatsApp. Like WeChat, your whole life can be there. You can book a doctor's appointment, you can pay your bills, you can just often messaging app. They've taken it a step further. You know, and you also you look at the beauty of a place like Shenzhen in China, where because they don't have patent and copyright laws, the market is free to do whatever you want. And one of the reason I think in the Western world it's so difficult to move forward at such a rapid pace because you already have those answers is that whole making it so difficult for people to get into industries because it's owned by the big players.
Like there's a huge barriers of entry.
There's a huge barrier of entry.
But I think this breaks that down.
That's the beauty of it now. That's what's disrupting it because I even say to a lot of people where you know, people when they think cryptocurrency, they're just thinking let's invest in everything. I'm like, no, cryptocurrency is just like I also think cryptocurrency is the bubble. Same thing with the internet. But you can ride that bubble and still make money if you're smart enough of how to move. But then the difference is that just the same with internet. That bubble happened. Did internet go anywhere?
Nope, internet shouldn't.
Internet is still here. Same thing that's going to happen with cryptocurrency. Yesterday I was watching something that literally in 60 seconds you can create your own coin.
Yeah, you sent me that link actually.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so like that's how crazy it is. And so now the difference is that I was talking to my business partner in the car. I was like, what governments are even making wrong is that they're not embracing it and sitting down with your Bitcoin, Ethereum, your top 10 and saying, how do we involve ourselves and tax this thing? Instead they're trying to fight it. But there's a lot of money that's been lost
in the process.
In that process because you're trying to fight it, but there's nothing you can do about it.
You're not fighting that thing, you're fighting progress. You're fighting...
Yes.
You're like that taxi driver who's fighting Uber. And you just have to accept that Uber is going to be here.
And I think if, for instance, if the taxi guys, in my opinion, I think if they can open up their own app. For me, it's that simple. Open up your own app. You guys already have that stuff. Open up your own app.
You're already organized as an association.
You're already organized as an association. I'll probably support them. I'll go to the local app more than an Uber because it's a local company.
You've got that feeling that, okay, cool, well, most of the money is going to be staying.
It's going to be staying. It's not going to Uber overseas. So for me, it's finding those solutions and saying, how do we embrace it as a country? A country can actually have its own cryptocurrency instead of fighting it and say, cool, this is where economy and everything is moving. And it also frees countries from the dollar. It decentralizes global power.
I think
as governments.
That's what's making it very tricky for them.
Yes.
Because obviously the powers that be want to keep it that way.
Yes.
Because, I mean, the billionaires that are coming out of cryptocurrency aren't the ones that have existed for hundreds and hundreds of years. Right? They're not the ones that own the Reserve Bank. And this is not one of those conspiracy theory moments. We all know. If you don't know, go research it yourself. Right?
There's a series on Netflix, or maybe if you can find those random sites. It's called Genius. So it literally breaks down, you know, like how aviation started. You know, like how
each of these major industries started.
All these major industries actually starting. And for me, it was very interesting watching it with that Third Revolution documentary on Vice and this one, because this one, it explains how these industries started and how they kept competition out, which is literally the patent and the copyright laws that kept a lot of the people out of like the pie of eating because you can't go into that industry. And now with what's happening with this new revolution, and we're like, now it's open market.
Do you think people get it though?
Like funny enough, like I've been getting a lot of meetings with agencies, you know, like where they're still going for that 30-second ad, which they invest a lot of money in. But that's a story for another day. But the conversation that you're having, you're like, guys, as an agency, actually, no, I can't tell them. gonna have to pay for this.
Yes.
But but for me, it doesn't make a lot of sense, some of the decisions that are being made.
Yeah.
And because I think it's because of how the ecosystem it's set. Because in any industry, there's players who need to eat. You know, there's industries. There's like so and so owns this thing. Every industry has a cartel.
Yeah.
That needs to eat. And if you're coming in trying to disrupt that eating, that's why we don't know who Satoshi is, because then you're not going to make it out alive. So then what happens is that it restricts a lot of progress, because then they're still doing this. But the sad thing is that these kids are going to come.
Whether you like it or not.
Whether you like it or not, they're going to shift the game. Because even now, the new drum magazine is online.
Yeah.
It's your OK Africa. It's your 10 by 9. It's your, that's your new drum magazine.
It's like, you know, there's, I love that book, Shift Your Brilliance.
Okay.
By this guy called Simon T. Bailey, right?
Okay.
So it's funny you mentioned shift, SHIFT.
Okay.
But he uses the acronym and he says, see how I fit tomorrow, right?
Okay.
And it's such a brilliant way of thinking. Like, if you're going to be in business right now, whether you're an old business or you're a new business, whether you're taking on the cartel or you're the cartel trying to survive and be relevant in tomorrow,
you have to embrace what's happening.
You have to be about tomorrow, though. You have to be there.
It's happening so quickly.
That's the thing.
It's happening, and the thing is, like, if you don't catch up, sometimes the window period is 2 months.
Yeah.
And what I think that's what also makes it very nice for any kid out there starting their own thing. Big corporation, it takes them a year to change their strategy.
Yeah.
Because there's a meeting, board meeting, presentation, preparation, budget.
Every Asian that's possible.
You know, like.
The guy who's supposed to sign or to sign off,
he's
out the country for 3 weeks.
Yes,
he comes back.
He comes back. But the difference is that with the small kid who's listening, who's out there, you can make that decision right now and say, cool, we're going to do a podcast right now. Yeah. And we're going to put it up, we're going to market it to these people. There's this kid that I met, his name is Onka. He's a film student at AFTA.
Yeah.
You know, they've got a podcast where they interview guys like in the industry, music and everything. And I was talking to him, I was like, in terms of content, he wants to be a director. So I kind of told him, like, focus on films because that's where you're going. Music is not where you're going. But the most fascinating thing about it that they've got 200,000 subscribers. Done. Some of your favorite shows don't even have that many viewers.
That's the craziest part. Like, I think, again, I always keep using this, and there's a reason I left it on the table. It's because it's important to understand that before, right, we used to be on the other end of the screen, right? And we were being sold to. We were also being sold.
Yes.
Right now, and going forward, this thing gives you the opportunity to be the one selling.
Yes.
You create and you sell. And once you have 200,000, do you understand what 200,000 people is? I can tell you their age, I can tell you, you know,
you've got the data.
And it's real data. It's data I can actually report on.
Yes.
So, like, I guess in a weird way, somebody asked this question when we were having a conversation, I think a week ago, right? You and I were chilling, and they were saying, do we think big media is going to survive? Like, for example, traditional radio, traditional TV.
Yeah, I think there's always a need for content, you know, but now it's like how you giving the content to people.
Yeah.
And it's like what the conversation that you and I were talking about earlier, that sometimes even with the podcast element that people don't even understand, you don't need big offices in Sandton. You don't need you literally can record that stuff in your bedroom when you have time.
Yep. It's
just that whole shifting of mindset. You know, because in our industry, we're all about aesthetics. We're all about, I've got a big office. I don't know what it does something for our ego. Like, and you're like, you don't need that. Just get the thing done. There's a guy in the US, like we used to have, my business partner helped him start a company. And now the guy was making around $100,000 a month at home in his pajamas.
Yes.
And all his platform, he just started like a few years ago, was like, he goes to all the record labels, he gets the instrumentals, he gets the acapellas, he gets the clean version, the dirty version, the radio version. Every version of the song. So then, as a DJ, you have to subscribe to his network because then you can have access to whatever. And you can imagine as a DJ, if somebody's already collected all of these things together.
You press click once and you get all that stuff.
We used to have like Skype meeting with this guy. Me, I'm running around in offices. Guys like chilling there, like just woke up.
Living his best life,
making money, you know, and for me, I was like, it's like the same thing that you're doing with the podcast. Like, you don't need these big aesthetics and everything. What's the mission? Get content out there. That's the mission.
Create the content, package it, give it to people. What's
important is the aesthetics of the content, not where it's being done, how it's being done.
Not what letterhead
and all those things.
And actually, on that note, right, if you're a brand person and you're listening and you're in the place where you make decisions around brand, I need to say this to you. I think that's one of the things that's frustrating, right? Yeah. There's gatekeeping when it comes to monetizing, because that's a gatekeeper.
No, like honestly, we live in that era. It's like, fuck, who's a gatekeeper? Who's a gatekeeper? Do you own the internet? It's like,
So in terms of monetizing this content as well, because
Yeah.
obviously there's always that conversation. You create the content and you want to ultimately monetize it.
Yeah.
You can monetize it by selling the content direct
Yeah.
via subscription, so you pay me as the person consuming the content.
Yeah.
But also you want to put brand on, for example, like we're
Yeah.
doing with the hotel and so forth. But what I'm finding is there's still people in the space
Yeah.
who, and this is marketers, and I'm speaking to you marketers directly to you, is that you need to understand that this thing is real. This thing is more of value to you than it is to me. Not that we're disrespecting the platform, but like if you embraced new tech
Yeah.
and digital and where it's going and used it well, man.
But as I was saying, going back to that thing, it's like what's happening in the US right now with the NRA, with the guns.
Yes.
The reason everybody knows logically, why would you give everybody guns? But it's not a logical reasoning. Going back, it's the money.
It's the money that's involved, yeah.
It's the trail. It's the cartel. So sometimes a lot of decisions are not based. I had to learn this the hard way. You get frustrated and you're like, no, but this is so obvious. Like, why is everybody getting guns? I'm like, but I can't drink at 21, but I can buy a gun at 18. You know that. So and
you
I
can
just
buy it
came
from a
from
supermarket.
Yeah, I can buy as many as I want. I'll pay as many. So then it's going back to what you're saying. So it's going back to this revolution that you realize that what you're doing is that you're disturbing that flow of money within NRA, the politicians, and the income. So it's not about logic. Everybody knows the logic. That's why even for them it's so difficult to defend it, is because logically it doesn't make any sense. And I think a lot of stuff that happens even in our industry is that logically it doesn't make any sense. But it's not a logical decision.
Yeah.
It's a financial decision.
Yeah.
Who's eating at the end of the table? Who's getting cut out? Who's protecting? You know, like, because these are streams of income that have always been there for decades.
Sure.
So when you go in and disturb that,
But it is being disturbed.
it is being disturbed.
It is being disturbed. It is possible to disturb it.
Yeah.
It is possible to build real businesses around it. Let's do this.
That's the beauty of cloud. Nobody owns the cloud.
Nobody owns the cloud. Because at some point somebody's going to own the water, the air.
That's what slowly is happening.
Ish.
I was funny enough, I was buying a bottle of water yesterday. I'm like, when did you get to a place where you're buying bottled water?
And it's a thing.
It's a thing. I understand there's certain countries when you're in that you need to buy like bottled water because it's not healthy. They do encourage you to do that. But then in South Africa, I'm like, our water is actually...
Don't you have like a blue star, blue drop rating with our water? Our water is brilliant. It's great.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, except for Cape Town. But that's a whole other conversation. Sorry, Cape Town. Your entrepreneurial journey has been long.
Yeah.
At a relatively young age.
And it's still going.
It's still going, hasn't it?
Yeah, we're not even halfway.
If you're just off the top of your head, what are the 3 lessons that you think you've learned from going down this path?
It's I think almost every year there's different lessons.
Yeah.
When life shows you flames.
Which it does.
Yeah, it shows like as a business, running a business is not easy. It's not a walk. Like it's not easy.
It's not about wearing skinny blue socks and sitting at restaurants, as Euphonic tweeted.
Yeah, is that what he said? Oh my god. Are you for real?
You fucking oh I'm like,
I don't care.
he doesn't care. But anyway, yes.
But it'll be difficult to care with the kind of money he's making.
When you're setting up title deeds, you don't have time to play.
Yes. Your mouth becomes you say what's on your mind.
Which is actually a deep thing. But like before you even answer the question about business, this idea of like financial freedom.
Yeah.
And like sometimes, we live in a world, especially our generation and the one that comes after us, that is very much about the aesthetic.
Yes.
Like looking it as opposed to being it.
Yeah.
Like what would you say to young people, man, like who are coming up after us and stuff?
I think one of the most important things I'm even learning now is that it's just finding your happiness.
Yeah.
Because you spend so many years working on like material gain and trying to find all these different things, and you get to a certain place where you're just surrounded by a lot of rich, miserable people.
Yeah.
And you realize that like, if I don't put as much effort on this journey in terms of my happiness as much as I do with my work, I could be like them. And it does happen. It happens so quickly, because then like there'll be people like you'll be sitting down with, they'll be blowing serious money. Like 60K shopping every single day. But you can see that this person is not happy.
They're miserable as all hell.
Yeah, like they just have, like, you and I issues, you know, and I think also it becomes very difficult for them to connect because people associate having money with happiness. So it almost become isolated from life because people are almost like, you have money, what's wrong?
Yeah.
You know, and they become very isolated. Then I think sometimes people around them, they start treating them like ATMs, where there's nobody asks you like, how are you and everything.
How are you actually doing?
How are you doing? How are you feeling? You know, and I would say like as much as you're putting a lot of effort into all those things, like literally work on your happiness, like things that make you happy outside of all of that. Because then also our industry is so crazy that, and there's a lot of things that happen in our industry. You get a lot of things in abundance, whether it's girls, whether it's alcohol, whether it's everything, it's in mass, you know, and if you're not careful, like you can get lost in that chaos. And
it's funny you say that because it's one of the things I've been thinking about a lot in my life.
Yeah.
A part of me feels like me leaving mainstream entertainment, right, kind of saved my life.
Yeah. The thing is like, when it happens, you don't know when that switch happens. Where you're in the middle of this, and also automatically you start losing like of reality. It's not because you're not a good person. I've seen good people like get lost, and you can see that fame is a different kind of drug, you know. And I was having a conversation with somebody else, and that's why I've been very hesitant doing interviews and things like that, you know. Right now, like I'll do them because of pushing a certain project, you know, because fame is a different kind of drug. It's different.
Fame is a horrible drug,
but it's different kind.
Because once you're addicted to it, all you want is it.
Yeah,
you know,
it's like likes.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You know what?
Yeah,
we talk about celebrities, right?
Yeah,
but everyday person is addicted to fame.
Yes.
Anybody who's on Insta and every 5 seconds has to look down is addicted to fame. And no shame to Insta because we like the platform, we use the platform.
Yes.
But it's like you
have to be careful.
You have to be careful. You have to manage your psyche. It's actually changed how we operate as human beings.
It's scary, like and for me I think it's like one of those things. It's just being very careful, and especially going back to like that whole fame thing. I had a conversation with DJ Kenzero, and we're talking about like, because he doesn't really do interviews like that much, and I've been trying to tap into like why he doesn't do it. He finds them to be very narcissistic, like where you're just there and you just talk about yourself and how great you are, and it makes you feel good about yourself. Because how often do you get to talk about yourself for an hour?
Just look yourself in the mirror.
Great.
Be like,
and talk about all your achievements.
And have somebody go, you well,
It's a different kind of high.
It's a beast on its own.
Yeah, it's a beast on its own, and sometimes like you realize that you also need to be very careful of that. And there was also an interview that I watched Oprah did, and was like, it's so important to say something in your interviews. Especially when you have a public platform, like say something, you know. And she had just made a speech in Australia, and she felt like her speech was she spoke about how great she is, and not about like a mission, a purpose. Like, what is your purpose? Like, what are you saying? What do people take out of what you've just said? Or do you just talk about how great you are, how many awards you've won, how many countries you've traveled to, how many movies you've shot, and
how many cars you have,
how many cars that you have, and things like that. So it's one of the things that always sticks in my head. So I always try to be as real and as honest as I can be when I'm answering them, and also make it just less about work
and more about being human,
being life.
I feel like there are a lot of people out there who are starving of the human experience, the truth. Like, I don't know if I should be saying they have put themselves under pressure.
I think even us sometimes.
No, sure. I mean, we're human as well. Right? I remember there was a point in my radio career where I was the loneliest person in the world. Like if you were to watch my timelines, you were to watch me, or you were to bump into me anywhere, I was on. So I was the entertainer and I was entertaining. But I was hellishly depressed. And it's because in as much as we're getting more connected, we've become the most disconnected society in all of history, you know what I mean? So you'll find yourself in a space where the world thinks you are happy. Robin Williams, rather, a great example of that. I mean, this guy, world famous comedian, right?
The guy from the band, the rock band.
The rock band as well. What's his name? Was it Linkin Park?
Linkin Park.
And it's
Chester.
It's a real thing, you know what I mean?
It's real.
And so maybe the question I should be asking you, and I know it's a heavy question to ask you, is how do we reconnect again? We've lost that connection as human beings. How do we reconnect again?
I think it all differs for different people. I think it's just acknowledging that I need to reconnect. So I think it's finding your way of connecting.
How do you do it?
Like for instance, I've kind of gone back into meditation and yoga. You know, and this week was really, really tough. you know, and I was having like anxieties at night and I couldn't sleep. And this morning I literally canceled most of my meetings, and I went and I had like breakfast with my neighbor and a friend, and all we did was chill and spoke about life and laughed. Afterwards, it was like, wow, I actually feel good, like something that's simple, you know, like where you kind of like just pause for a second. And also what I'm also learning is being honest with my emotions, knowing when to be angry and allow myself to be angry, allow myself to be happy, you know, allow myself, you know, like different emotions, and also not to be too hard on myself, which is the worst thing I think I do for myself. It's like
it's weird because it's also in a way the thing that drives us as well.
Yeah. But sometimes I think we're too hard on ourselves, where there's moments where you need to take a moment and breathe and celebrate that moment. And it's because even psychologically, because you celebrate. There was a time where I remember it was the first time as a company I made it into the slow lounge, you know, and I was like, oh wow, you know, I made it into the slow lounge and everything, and somebody tried to downplay it. I was like, it was not me being in the slow lounge. It was like all these years running a company where I qualified to
be in the
I'm like, it's not about the food or anything. It's just, it's a step.
It's an achievement, an accomplishment.
Yeah, and I had to take a moment and sit down and be like, oh wow, in the last couple of years, last year we're like in debt as a company. We're able to come back from it, and now I'm sitting
in a slow lounge.
You know, and for me, as I was saying, it was not about the actual location. It was more like those baby steps. But sometimes
it was what it meant.
Sometimes the world can kind of downplay it for you, and you allow it. At that moment, I could have allowed it to downplay it, while the other person doesn't fully understand the context of what has actually just happened. You know, like taking those baby steps. So I'm allowing myself to celebrate the small victories. And
I love that. Celebrate the small victories.
Yeah, and sometimes it's a bit overwhelming, because especially now, like with the Simple Love thing coming out, the reception has been so crazy where there'll be a moment where I literally just need to go and chill by myself, because it's just crazy. And I was telling somebody else, I was like, I've released a lot of projects, you know, very successful projects, but there's never been something like this. It's different, as in from people's reception. It's different, you know, and I'd never experienced something like this.
But you're present for it, which is beautiful, because you're allowing yourself to experience it.
Yeah.
I think somebody who's in the space that you're in, and having been there for as long as you've been, it's very easy to play it off. Like, oh, it's just people responding. It's people. Just
I mean, like if somebody's writing an article about it, you have to think like they took time to watch it. And there's this, I forgot the lecture. Nobody has to watch your things.
Yeah.
No, there's not a
right.
Nobody has to retweet. Nobody has to share anything. No, and sometimes I think even as directors, there's that entitlement that we have. Nobody has to go to the cinema to do anything. Nobody has to do anything. And I think there's a lot to be grateful for. Whether somebody retweeted it, pressed like, you know, wrote an article about it, shared it with their friend, and even sometimes a nice message, or even sometimes a good constructive criticism, you know, and.
But you've always, in the years that I've known you, you've always been good at this, and I've told you, there's two, you know, you keep people around your life for a reason, right?
Yeah.
Or they keep you around theirs as well for a reason. If there's one lesson I've always told you that you've always taught me, was that around authenticity.
Yeah.
You know, as a friend, you are grounding energy in my life. That's the one thing. And gratitude. How would you define gratitude to somebody, and how would you say we should hold on to gratitude? You know, how do we stay grateful in a world where everything is so superficial? Everything is so instant grat. Do you know what I mean?
I think also sometimes, also not to be fun, other people all have different realities. You know, like Prince William's reality is different. Where certain things for me I have to be grateful for. It's always been standard for him. And you have to understand it, that for him that was the standard.
To me it's a Bentley to use to me it's a blue car to use a Bentley.
You know what I'm saying? Slow launch for him he's been his whole life.
He
doesn't even do slow launch. You know what I'm saying? So it's sometimes I think it's also a background where there's certain things that you honestly very much grateful for, because you didn't have them all the time. So when they exist, you acknowledge their presence. Certain things that have always been there, sometimes you even forget that they're always there. And sometimes it's crazy, because in the industry that we're in, there's certain things that happen where you kind of get used to it, because as directors, there's an element where you get spoiled, where you get a driver, you get your own PA on set, you get people running around, you get, you know, like your ego gets pumped. People tell you how great you are and things like this. So sometimes there's certain things that happen where you can slowly get lost in that.
Sure.
Where you find yourself like where like when I do something in Ghana, for instance, it's very different. The resources I have that side are different from South Africa. In South Africa, I almost feel when I'm back here, I feel like I'm spoiled. You know, and for another director who's based here, it's like, but that's standard. You know what I'm saying? So
I guess what I'm hearing you say is that a lot of it has to do with being present.
Being present
and not only
and personal experiences.
Yeah, being real to yourself as well.
Yeah.
But if you're not real, you're not going to appreciate it.
Yeah.
It's
like
those
for instance,
people who
like coffee, like this tea.
Yeah.
For someone who slept like in winter, who's a street person, they'll appreciate this more than you and I.
We just drank it.
We just drank it.
Because to us it's just coffee.
It's coffee. We
to them,
drink this.
It's a source of nourishment, or I don't know if it's nourishment, but you know what I mean? Like, it keeps you warm and whatever.
Yeah.
I love that. I think it's a beautiful place for us to almost end our conversation.
Yeah.
If you were to sit down with like there's this thing I was doing on social media, I don't know if you saw it.
Yeah.
Dear 18-year-old me.
Yeah.
And you were to have like a conversation with your 18-year-old self.
Yeah.
What would you tell them? Like,
I'll tell them like, it's okay. Everything's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
And who you are, like just be yourself.
Yeah.
Like honestly, just be yourself and work on becoming better and more accepting of myself, because there's a lot of peer pressure thing happened when I was very young.
Yeah.
And especially where I almost lost my identity as Msotho.
Yeah.
Because in that environment it wasn't cool, you know, and I think embracing that and saying, and also like being a bit more rooted in terms of like learning Sesotho, like speaking it more regularly and things like that. So that's what I'll tell my 18-year-old self, is that, and also be less anxious. And yeah,
it's going to be okay.
Because it's going to be okay.
It's going to be okay.
Yeah, it's going to be okay.
That's such a beautiful universal principle. It's going to be okay.
Yeah.
It's going to be okay.
What did our finance minister say last night? It's going to be alright. You're alright.
Don't you stress. It'll be alright.
Okay.
Alright, we're going to wrap it up, but I mean, thank you so much for making the time.
Cool, man. Thank you. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
Cool.
I'm telling you, it's going to be great.
Yeah,
because you know what? It's going to be okay.
Right, it's going to be alright. Let's do
we're going to do the show together. This was Questions with KM. And of course, thank you to Signature Lux Hotels and Sandton. Again, we're going to put it down here so you can find them. If you're traveling from wherever in the world and you're coming to Sandton, you need a place to stay. It's a good place to come and rest your head, especially for us hustlers who are running around all the time.
Yes, sir.
Cool. And then, I don't know where you can buy these, but I want one too, because this is cool. Next video, I'm going to be wearing it. I promise you. Yeah, let's do a quick plug, because you've got Simple Love coming out now.
Yeah, Simple Love, it's currently, like, it's on YouTube.
Yeah.
We're going to be doing some screenings, and we're going to push it as far as we can go.
And Simple Love is a?
It's a short film that we shot in Accra a year ago.
Yeah.
And so that's what we've been marketing, like literally for the last, I think 3 months or so, 2 months, doing pre-work.
Quick and dope.
Yeah.
Cool.
So check out Simple Love by Manifest, and also look out for a short film. I did a short film for Dumi's song Yvonne.
Yeah.
We're doing a rape awareness campaign with my friends Muteo, Busi, and Dokozo. So we shot 2 short films. One is based on River's income situation.
Okay.
That's one that we're gonna release first. Then there's mine on Dumi's poem Yvonne.
Yeah.
Then there's also a short film that I'm probably gonna be doing it later in the year that we also just finished in Accra.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
There you have it, folks. Makere Thekiso, friend, entrepreneur. It's a long list of things. Filmmaker, director, authentic human being. But more importantly, he keeps asking questions about life, about business, about love, about money. And through that, we all grow. So I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to check you on the next one. Please leave your comments at the bottom. And yeah, let's stay connected.
Peace.